Hi everyone, welcome back. We're on rose number 3. Now again, if you want to read or watch a little bit about the preparation where I talk about the panel and stuff that I'm using, it's on video 1, okay? It's on video 1, how I prep it, sand it, and we'll go from there. I might change that up as we go on in the other videos, and I'll let you know, okay? But for this video, video 1, to see how I prepped this little 8x10 panel. This time, let's, we have 30 minutes, do a rose. Let's have this light gray, which is made from the white, a touch of black, and a little bit of the Hansa yellow. And I think I'm going to change that over. Let's do a pink rose on blue this time. We haven't done that yet. We have a lot of roses we're going to do. When I'm going to make this blue, it takes just a little bit of this phthalo to make a pretty blue like this. And this I'm going to keep. You know, those of you that use the value scale, I believe in them. I use them a lot. This is going to be up around an 8, which in acrylics means it dries down to about a 7 or so. Dries a little darker. That's kind of nice. I'll put a little water with this here. And we'll streak some of this color right up here from the top here, pulling down this way. Down like this. We'll just let this kind of come out here on the side, maybe a little bit over here. Like I say, I do like to do these broken kind of things. I'll show you all kinds of backgrounds though, but let's just stay with some broken color backgrounds like this right now, because they're fun and easy to do. So, and that's a nice light blue. You can make it a little bit more contrast, or have a bit more color, like right where that rose is going to go. Just put a bit more blue right in there. Don't blend it out. Just leave some of that streak in there like that. That just adds so much. 8 or 10. Let's just do my 8 here on this particular side. Let's do a couple smaller roses. Let's do kind of pink. Now this is my warm red. This is my cool red. Okay. If you want to make one that's color kind of in between, take a little bit of both, but just a little bit of that cool, because it is really, really cool. Let's make a light pink here, okay, and just slowly walk up that to about a value 8 or so, about as light as your blue, as your original blue there. And I'll mix that up pretty well. Usually I model, but I'm going to mix it up pretty well this time. Let's put some of that pink right up here like this. We'll do 2 smaller roses here. And we'll push one right down here, maybe even a little rosebud or something right down there. So the size of the circle kind of, you notice I move around always in this kind of circular motion here. That's how I do that. I choose which one that I wanted to be a little more dominant in the painting. And it could be this one or that one. Actually, let's do the lower one here. So I'll give it a little more color, and you can change the temperatures too if you want. Use one keying off a little more of this and one keying off a little more of the violet. See how that totally changes its temperature? You can see the warm and the cool of this. So if I use some more of this violet back here and a little bit more of the warmer color up into the front of this one, you'll see I can create a warm cool of that. But let's take some of the red, a little bit of the red violet, and we'll use this to start our center. So we go up to the upper third, and I push darker and then lift the pressure, kind of moving slow circles around here. Let's come down here. Let's come right down in here, push that down in here, and just a few up and around it. And sometimes I'll let that background and just kind of model off like that into the background. But, and it's okay to do that fracturing edge as long as you have this nice movement to it. See, it's still got that circular movement there with that. Let's take a bit of the darker color here and run that off that side for the shadow, that lower part of the bowl. Now let's push that right down in here, a little more red into that as well, since we want this rose just a touch warmer, a little more red, but we want this one we're going to put this one as the more contrast one, so we'll add a bit more of that color and darkness over here as well at that time too. Pull out like that. So that sets the rose, and really, that really kind of gives you, you know, they look like roses. You know, of course, they need petals, but they look like roses. Let's create just a quick little rosebud, just like that. Boom. Now, sometimes I'll come in while, you know, I'll let this kind of dry up for just a second, and I'll come in, and we'll pick up just a touch of some green here, or some you know, brown or something that I want to, let's pick up put a little bit of this water on my palette here. And sometimes I'll pick up any kind of color here. Let's get it a little more greenish, but a dark toned green here. Here, a little more yellow. Something like dark colors of the reds and stuff, cool it down. That also creates great harmony using those together. Let's push some of that right in here, right in the roses, and push it in through the background. Now, this is how I make a lot of transparent looks to roses, is I'll take leaf and leaf colors like this, and I'll push them right into the roses. I'll paint some really specific ones. You know, we've got a long ways to go. We got a lot of roses to do. And I'll paint some specific ones, but this is generally how I do that. I take the colors right up, so like a rose color like that, right out into the, or the green right into the rose, so it creates a crossing of the colors. Now, we can take some of that, and so I like to do that, and then I like to also put in some more of a shape to some of those leaves like that, and wipe them down real quick. Here, put in kind of a shape like that. Take your hand and wipe those down just like that. And sometimes we vary the color and stuff, but these are quick little compositions. You know, it's always good to kind of vary your leaves a little bit, stuff. But these quick compositions, I'm more interested in painting the rose more than anything else. That's what we're supposed to be concentrating and practicing on. But they're kind of nice. Let's oh, I just touched habit. I just touched an extender. Don't really need that because I'm just painting a leaf. Let's stay away from that edge so we have some negative space, like I told you in the first video. Let's just create a bit of the movement there coming out. I like that. So even before I start the painting of the rose, now I'm going to rinse my brush because I was in green and I'm going to go back to my red. They're complements, and that will get me into trouble. Let's paint the warm rose. So more into our naphtha red light and some white, nice light pink here, nice light warm color. Okay, and this time I won't mix it up too much. I'm going to model it a little bit. So see, I get some variations into the color. Let's do that first strike through. Pull down, that kind of rounds the bowl there, like that. Sets up the front of that rose here. As you come down to this side here, because you're coming down to the shadow, you can cool that just a bit. So let's cool it off, drop it down in darkness, just a little more red and some red violet. Cool that off. That's kind of pretty. So that works. Let's take a little bit of that cool color like that and drop some right into the center here. Maybe a bit, just a touch of that light around. Just real simple. Keep it simple and quick. And see, I don't even show petals as much as I show movement of that center. Let's lighten up a bit here. And we'll grab a bit of this watery edge here. Lighten up a bit. Let's come right over here. We'll pull in. We'll widen it out a bit. Curve it that way. That leaves me that room right here to push that right into the bowl of the rose, the roundness of the rose, see? And that incorporates that petal and the rose together here. That's what I'm looking for. Let's actually lighten that up just a bit more here. Now you can pull out as well. I'm just going to pull in like this, create a little bit of a different look to the petal. Pull in, and out there like that. That's kind of pretty. Let's go a touch lighter. Pull an edge in like this. Now why lighter? Because I'm right up here towards the light source. So we'll just make a nice light petal. Maybe back down to a little darker, maybe a touch of cool right in here just to push that edge. So see, that kind of rounds that around like that. We're going to keep these roses smaller, which means we keep the petals more simplistic here. So let's build a bit more light right across the front of the rose, just like that. And then I'm going to lift off some of that so I can get that shadow back in there again. See? Real quick, just boom, boom, get it. I just strike it right down like that and then push my finger to round it into the shape of the bowl. You always round into the shape of that bowl here, at least with these simple ones like this. There's others I do different things. We're going to pull in just a bit more here and pull that right into that edge of that bowl, just like that. Now, if I can put another layer in there, or I can just like take this one. Let's just drop that one right onto the chisel, right in there. And that just kind of finishes that one off there. Let's make it a little longer right there. Kind of finishes that look off right like that. See? Simple. And I put in the petals where there's room, really, so each one goes a little different. Now we'll cool down as we come over to this other side. This will help carry that cooler color back up over here. That's a little dark, so let's get a little bit lighter and just quickly suggest a little more cooler color. Let's go back just a touch lighter and push that into the bowl. Always, that's where the beauty of the roses that I paint come from, is I'm pushing always into the shape of that bowl. Okay, that's what's making them. And I'm painting really fast too. That's the other thing, is I don't have, if I slow down too much, they start to stiffen up. So now you can come back and restate some more light, like on that outside edge of that one right there. I just touch it, then hit it with the finger. Do what we call shear off the color. Now, the other one here, new paper towel, I'm always wiping my brush with my paper towel. What this does is it removes a lot of the excess color and allows me to do more detailed things. And I use it when I hue shift, when I change colors. Now I'm going to pick up some more of this cool. Now that's really cool color here. So we might want to have a few strokes of light, of a warmer color in there. But right now, let's start it out kind of cool. See, you can see the difference between the two here. This is the difference between your red violet and your naphthol red light. Really the difference. So we'll start out, set some of this back here and everything. Just move that around, push that around. So you get that movement in there. We'll start out with that kind of cool. But as we come forward right here, we'll warm up. Now we might put the an idea of a reaching petal right out here. These are the petals out from the bowl. And notice I paint this one a little softer, a little faster, because it's sitting behind this one. This is the most important one, what I call the queen. She rules the painting here. Let's take some of this. I guess I should have added more water to my bucket here. I like water or extender, but extender not to blend. You would use it just to add moisture to the paint so it slides. Let's just pull it, just an idea, and push that around a bit. Notice how easy that push. Now I hit that petal. I'm not going to worry about that. I'll put it back on. Okay. But now here's where I am. Let's warm this up just a bit warmer, lighter and warmer here, so that we'll put some warm color onto the front of this rose. So we'll see cool and warm here. But we'll keep it kind of soft, not as light as the front of that one. We can go a little bit lighter, because this one I want to be more of the center of interest here on this one. So I'll strike that, and let's just push that edge right into the bowl. Bring that bowl right around like that, and that works, see? Let's put a warmer petal right here, pulling in, right in there like that. and a little bit more coming out. Now I'm just going to collide with that petal there, and I'll show you. I'll fix it in a minute. I never really paint to avoid something. I'll paint through something, and because if I've found over time, this is just for me, but if I paint to avoid something, it looks like I painted to avoid it, and the rose gets stiff. So if something's in my way, I just paint it, and then I'll go back and correct it later. Let's put another slightly lighter warm touch right up here into the front of this rose. Pull this down. I don't want to do as many petals. Too many petals will compete against that one. So I'm keeping the petals kind of soft. You know, there's the idea of petals, but they're kind of soft. Here I'll put just that edge out like that. Maybe a little idea of an edge here of that. Doesn't need that much. Let's close up the warmth on this side. Always kind of closing up that rose a little bit onto the side there. And a little bit of that water. And we'll just a bit of that movement up here, around like that. That's pretty nice. I could put one slightly lighter down like this. Take a bit of that water on the edge of my finger and just push it together like that. That's a solvent, what we call a solvent technique. I would use water as the solvent in the Heritage acrylics, and so you can use the solvent to really move the paint quite quickly. You can use water, even if the paint's dry. Even if the paint's dry for 20 minutes or so, it'll still do it. That's the beautiful part. One of the things we designed. Now, I'll just take some more light, nice warm light here, and push that right up, especially into what we call a petal edging technique. This is where I put the color into the corner here, and I'm going to draw more of a very clean edge to this petal right here, and that's going to put that petal right up on top of that other rose. It's the edge, the nice clean edge. Let's put a clean edge, more of a clean edge on this one here. Pull that in, and that's a little light right there, so I'll just take my damp finger here and just push just a bit, and see how that softens it real quick. That water right there, with a little bit of that water, see how that softens it real fast here? Okay, let's drop this one right in, right there. That's pretty good. And you can put as many as you want, or you know, and shape up the bowl whatever way you want there. I kind of like that. This looks like it's a little bit too much of one big one. So what you do is you just take a little light, step this out a little further, then pull it in, make it look like a different petal right there. I even like that extra little dose of pink that was right there, but should be a bit lighter. Just pull that in and leave some of that extra movement. That's helping the rose a lot. Let's darken it back down just a touch and restate this one. So that puts it on just a little heavier and helps that rose come forward. So now it stays real soft. Now you have to paint a 2-second rose down here. Let's take a little warm and cool. Maybe just a touch more on the cool side so it sits down just a bit. Do that oval shape. Remember we painted a little bud earlier. We've got to kind of imagine that oval shape there. And let's put just a bit of light right across the front of it here. Kind of push that into the bowl where the bowl would be on that one. Movement. See, I just pushed to make movement, and I like that. That's where that edge comes in there to make that movement. A little water here. Let's just paint one petal out like this that points, and that's a Dutch kind of technique where that petal points you back up here towards your center of interest, which is something that I like to do in my compositions. And I follow a lot of the Dutch theories of drawing and composition when I do bigger compositions of flowers and roses and stuff. Don't get that too light. See, I can blur the edge there just a bit. There's a lot of fun little things that you can do. Now I look at the overall contrast of the, the painting here. Do I want to add, let's take some of our green here, and let's put a little black into that. That's a nice, cool, dark color. Here we'll put a little red violet, make that nice, cool. This is really, really cool, dark. This is what you could use to come in here and do what we call negative paint. Come out and around the edge of the rose there with a bit more dark color that sets more contrast right in that area. So watch what happens here. I'll put a little water with this. But right here, we can even push this leaf back into position just a little bit there and pull that in. But you see, leave some of that dark and boom, you get this contrast. That's a little too much of a line, so we'll just soften it just a touch. But I can come back out here and drop some more extra contrast right through there. Lots of different ways. Now I'm going to lighten this up here. Let's put a little yellow, a little white, a little more Hansa, a little bit of white into here. And let's just pull some of that right through here to get rid of some of that heavy dark into the center. You just need a little bit for your contrast there. But that'll get rid of some of the heavy darks there. And nice grayed colors here too. Pick up a little more water. When I use the water, I tend to get it real thin because I just want to whisper on some things here. Some movement down like this. Stuff works a little bit here on the back of that rose. That little rosebud there. I think maybe it might be nice here to make a nice light yellow-green leaf right here coming out like this, maybe even setting over the blossom a bit so that shoves the blossom further back into the background. So see that, see it, it'll push that block, but it pushes the movement out here. So I have this line dropping down and this line coming out here. Those of you that study design with me, that's St. Andrew's Cross, what we call St. Andrew's Cross, and you can subtly put that into floral compositions and it is amazing the interest that it draws. So let's just put a little more light here, pulling out like that, push in and out of this like a V shape kind of there. Let's drop this down just a little more green. Put a touch or two of that around, just like you know what you're doing here. And maybe we'll take that light, and like we did in the last one, put that chisel line out. You can do it dark as well, but a little chisel line out just kind of gives that nice movement of that leaf, So sometimes I do it dark, sometimes I do it light, whatever's going to really kind of contrast against the color of the leaf more than anything else. That's what I like to do. And we'll just add a few little marks, a few little suggestions of that. That makes a nice, pretty little composition. Simpler roses, only a couple rows of petals, more of a simple composition. Now, the one thing I don't like here, and I go back and I kind of check things, I don't like that, I'll take a little water here. So this is getting dry right here. I'm just going to take a little water and run right through it, pick up some of that, but mostly it's just going to be a light. I don't try to make the same color again. That just makes your petal, your petal stiff and more opaque. So make your color a little different. You can even add this more peach by adding some yellow to it, but that's a little bit too straight. So I'm just going to take this out like this. You can even add, there's enough room in there to add a next petal in there as well. But I think that's kind of nice. Maybe a little more light right here. We'll put that in right with the petal edging technique. We'll pick up right that heavy edge right there. And let's just draw in a little bit more of a petal right in there. Push that right into the bowl. So you get that nice, lovely movement there, right with that. Maybe a touch darker, touch cooler. Right here, bring that up. right there across that just a bit. That sits prettier. That sits nice. So the two sit together. You got two of them that go well together, but one's cooler, one's slightly warmer. They're simple. They're not as contrasty. I'll show you something here that you can do if you want to go back and restate some of your contrast. Take some of your cool and a little bit of your warm here. Take it on the side of your brush. Maybe not quite so dark. But you start out here with this one and just restate some of the color into the center of this one. Maybe a little bit out here on into the bowl and just push like that. Now see, that increases the overall contrast of the rose. So if you feel your rose has, gotten too light or something like that, push that color back in there. Sometimes leave a little edge of it, just a quick little mark, and that'll help it. Let's take just a bit of that right up here. We got to be careful not to do too much, and especially into this back one. You leave a little bit of that dark right in there like that. Okay, and little water, thin this out some. Thin this out. Push just a bit of that right in there like that. A little bit of a shadow. Now you can always sink a shadow. Like here, this shadow is sitting up on top of that light, just a touch too much. So what I do is just come back with a bit of light on top, and I call that sinking the shadow into the rose. So see that little bit of light. So light should, it's not necessary, and I don't always do it. But for years I always said light should sit up on top of the dark. It's not really a rule, but it does look nice sometimes when that happens. Okay, that's kind of nice. Let's just put a bit more into that petal right there. Ooh, got to stop. 27 minutes. We still made it underneath that 27 minutes. So that's kind of fun. A little bit different. You could lighten up that leaf in the front a bit more if you want. The big thing is about it when you're doing compositions and quick compositions, and I don't always pay attention, this closely, but I try to vary the colors of the leaves. That's something that is a bad habit of mine, that I don't vary the color. So it's nice to have a little variation to color leaves, especially if you show a light to dark on a rose. You should show light and darks into your leaves. Okay, all right. There's number 3. 2 smaller, faster roses. Painting them in composition. Cool one, slightly warmer one. Have a good time, and I'll see you on number 4.